Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the DECOKA DK100. This is a pair of in-ear style earphones that also offers active noise cancellation. And that means it uses a rechargeable battery that can last for 20 hours on a single charge that will drown out background noises, especially deeper sounds like engines. So if you're at an airport or you're constantly traveling, this might be something good to consider. It does use a traditional 3.5mm port, and again, ANC is the main selling point, especially on such a small pair of earphones. It's a pretty rare feature that you won't commonly find. Typically, we only see it on much larger and bulkier over-the-ear style headphones. In terms of pricing, the DK100 sells for $40 on Amazon, which is also fairly attractive in terms of price. And again, it offers up to 28 decibels of noise reduction and also features a built-in inline remote control, which you can use to play, pause, and control the music. The packaging here is pretty simple. You can see that some basic specifications printed on the back. Frequency range is 10 Hz to 22,000 Hz. Now, it is important to observe that these aren't wireless Bluetooth earphones. So even though they have a battery compartment for the ANC, you still have to plug them in the traditional way. So for USB Type-C devices, this is not going to be the choice to go with. But if you have a regular smartphone, if you have an older MP3 player, MP4 player, then this is going to be a good option for travelers. So packaging-wise, there is also some spare silicone tips and wings in case you're moving or jogging and they will stay in place. And underneath here we have access just to the earphones, and below the foam we have the aforementioned accessories. It does charge using a standard micro USB cable, as you can see here, so pretty typical. And then here are the silicone tips as well as extended wings for sports and more vigorous movement. The user manual is actually pretty well documented and tells you how to set it up in various languages, and there's also a quick carrying pouch that is labeled with the company's logo. A closer look at the design of the earphones first. They look pretty typical. The actual drivers themselves are slightly larger than your typical pair of earphones. It does have a mainly plastic construction with a few metal accents on the plates, but it feels reasonably well made with soft touch rubber that prevents it from attracting too many fingerprints. The tips themselves are angled off ergonomically, so it stays in at this angle and it prevents them from falling out even if you're wearing them for longer periods of time. One thing I'm not a huge fan of is that the cable is a traditional round design. It's not a flat ribbon wire. It's not made out of braided nylon, so it isn't going to be quite as durable, and it's also going to get tangled up slightly more easily. But you can see here that we do have the aforementioned inline remote control, and from here we have the ability to play, pause the music. There's also the microphone, which you can use to talk and answer phone calls. The keys themselves actually feel pretty tactile and responsive, and in my brief testing, it worked without any issues on an iPhone as well as on an Android device. The noise cancellation module is located surprisingly close to the end of the wire, next to the 3.5mm jack, which has also been gold-plated. So as a result, there is a kind of an extra weight that you should probably keep in mind, but if you're carrying this in your pocket, then it ends up being fine anyways. From here, we have the ability to turn on ANC with a manual switch on the side. So flipping this open to green, we now see a small green dot. That means that there is enough power and ANC has been turned on. When I'm ready to turn it off, I simply switch it off again. When the light turns red, it means that battery is running low, and there's also a cover that protects the micro USB port for charging. It takes about 2 hours to completely charge, and again, the LED indication light will continuously glow to tell you the status of that. On the other side of the power switch, there is an M key. If you tap on this, it activates what's called the monitor mode, and it's easily the most interesting feature of the DK100. It's essentially the opposite of active noise cancellation, enhancing the background sound so that you can hear everything around you as you are still listening to your music. This might be useful if you're walking down a really busy city street and you don't want to be immersed in your music, but rather aware of your surroundings in dangerous circumstances. So it's interesting that you can either have complete immersion through ANC, or you can actually turn off ANC and actually make the background sound even more prominent through the music. So this has a really interesting kind of dual mode that is unlike any other ANC earphones that I've seen or reviewed in the past. Quite an interesting concept. Otherwise, again, this thing will last you for about 20 hours on a single charge, which is more than sufficient, and it can last you, through a long plane ride, through long commutes, throughout a week without any issues, and then you have to just charge it up again very quickly. Overall, the module itself is quite lightweight, and again, it is made out of soft touch rubber, so no real issues as far as the overall design and construction. It's not going to be the most flashy or the most kind of shiny or distinctive in terms of design, but it's nice and discreet, and it's comfortable also being lightweight when you're wearing them. Alright, so next let's talk about the sound quality. The sound quality on these were actually surprisingly good. Keep in mind that since this is active noise cancelling earphones, it's not going to compete with more expensive hi-fi grade or audiophile grade earphones that are designed exclusively for listening to detailed, high-resolution music. With that being said, for general, casual listening, for pop music, electronic music, for podcasts, it actually does a surprisingly good job. There is actually some bass as well, so even though it isn't a dual driver or a triple driver setup, they pack actually a nice punch and warmth in the lower frequencies. So if you're listening to drum beats, you're listening to let's say some electronic EDM music, you actually should be fairly pleased with these. They don't give you crystal sharp separation between various instrumentals and layers of music, but it gets sufficiently loud, and again, for regular listening, they actually sound quite good for $40. The active noise cancellation also worked quite well. I would say it drowned out about 80 to 85% of noise, sometimes a little bit more if I was really having these cushions tucked firmly into my ear canals. And overall, it was a comfortable experience listening to music on a longer train ride, also on a short flight. I felt that it significantly reduced the sound of the engine, and as a result, I could more easily enjoy the music as well as sleep and rest without having to hear that background sound. So it does work quite well. It's not going to be quite to the extent of as more expensive over-the-ear headphones, which block out more sound just by nature of that larger design, such as Bose's Quiet Comfort series. That might get you about 90% of noise reduction. This one is slightly less, but all in all, for something so small and portable, it actually is surprisingly good. The reverse, which is the monitor mode, also worked quite well. When I was walking in a busy street, I was able to hear more of my surroundings. It's not quite as dramatic as I initially thought, so it's not going to be night and day in terms of the difference, but it does work, and it's a clever trick, but shouldn't be the main selling point and shouldn't be the main focus or reason that you would want to pick this one up. So overall, I would say that the DK100 more than holds its own for the price. For under $40, you're getting something that sounds actually quite good just as a traditional pair of earphones. The active noise cancellation is also a nice plus and also works sufficiently well. They're overall quite comfortable, and despite a slightly bulkier size to the actual tips, they're quite lightweight, and as a result, I could comfortably wear them for extended periods of time without feeling too much stress or strain. Also, keep in mind that there are wireless Bluetooth earphones on the market that are also gradually having ANC as an added feature. And so if you want something with more future-proof capabilities, then that might be a better purchase. It comes at a similar price point. But if you do want slightly better audio quality and you do want a traditional 3.5mm plug, then this one might be the one to check out. So you can check out more details about these in our official written review, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been a first look review of the DECOKA DK100 active noise cancelling earphones.